So I just pinged the Azure folks, namely Pika, for bubble damage stuff. Because let's think about this a little bit more from like from a math perspective.
Yeah.
So
our genius analysis.
Yeah. So let's put on our tinfoil caps, folks, and let's get ready to go big brain here. So bubbles spawn at 400 HP, and they either explode at 800 or break at 0. Splat and suction bombs do 234 damage to them without Object Shredder. Object Shredder multiplier on bubbles is 1.3, and the team that spawned the bubble does 1.2 times damage to it with everything. So,
okay.
That's a lot of information there, but basically what it means is that if you throw two bombs at bubbles, they will dissipate, assuming that no one's throwing Object Shredder. With or without Object Shredder. Also assuming that the enemy team doesn't hit it at all, because what? I mean, it's only going to be like someone hits it with 3 bullets, and all of a sudden, you know, it's going to take more than 2 bombs, right? Mm-hmm. So now we're getting into like you're going to need 3 bombs per bubble territory if you're trying to go that route, which is the one reason why I suggested a bomb launcher earlier, is because I thought intuitively that there's a small chance you'd be able to get that taken care of. But even still, like, that's kind of stretching it, right? Because by the time that you're able to throw 3 bombs, the enemy team has still, in a Rainmaker case, run for, 10 more points or scored 3 more claims of the basket or whatever the case is. So, like, I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm starting to think Object Shredder bomb launcher might, but even then I think you'd need 2 of them at the same time. Because Booyah, I'm not sure how much FPS Booyah is. So I'm not sure how much damage it would do to a bubble, to an enemy bubble. All I know is it kills you through bubbles, right? That's my main thought when I said that earlier.
You said Booyah Bomb doesn't kill you, or does kill you?
It does. It kills you through bubbles.
But again, like, by the time that it kills you, you have to be, like, hoping that you are holding the Booyah Bomb in the air and throwing it while they're popping the bubbles.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said you need to have the Booyah ready to throw before the enemy starts pushing the bubbles.
And that's going to be insanely difficult to do.
That's going to be difficult to do because of how fast the game is. How fast you can just pop the bubbles and go. How preemptively you need to pop the Booyah. And because the guy can just wait, or you can just throw the Booyah way too early. Whatever. Something like that. There's a lot of mistakes that can be made on top of the difficulty.
Yeah.
What is Taylor doing? Is there
it's a DC, it's another DC, so we can keep talking about this.
Look at us nerds.
So, a Booyah Bomb does 2 times damage to bubbles. So, it would be 300 damage per second. So it would take like 1.5 seconds.
Yeah.
It would take 1.5 seconds, or 1 1/3, I suppose, to completely dissipate bubbles, assuming the enemy team isn't shooting at them as well. But like, it's also going to kill you in 1/3 of a second, hypothetically.
I said.
Or wait, no. It's going to kill you in 2/3 of a second. Yeah, it should kill you in 2/3 of a second.
Yes.
Because it'll do 150.
Yeah, it kills you in 40 frames, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay, so it kills you in 40 frames. It dissipates vanilla bubbles, like no damage at all, in exactly what you said, in 1 second and 1/3. But the bubbles aren't going to be 400 HP, so it's going to take about 2 seconds. I want to say.
Although I will say, so PD just said we should just run splashdown to counter bubbles. that's a good one.
Well, true, but
no, not true.
Oh.
Not true, because then the bubbles pop while you're in the air. Like that's unlikely to actually work.
Yeah. No,
so,
and the other guys that run the bubbles are just gonna kill your splashdown.
Pika brought up a good point. We're in a Discord chat right now. Pika brings up the point that a Booyah bomb on top of bubbles would keep bombs from making contact with the bubble from the incoming team.
Oh yeah, didn't even think about that.
So at least they can't pop, but like at the same time, that's not exactly like they can't like suddenly get can't suddenly like double their time spent, right? Because that's what bombs would do. They'd still be able to shoot at them normally. I'm getting spam pinged. Sorry, guys.
Who's doing this to you?
Sendo was just spam pinging me because it was a DC and they wanted a replay and everyone readied up. I was like, all of a sudden I had 5 pings in the plus server and I have pings turned off for the plus server, so I was like, wait a minute.
Alright, here we go. Firefit. I'm happy.
So does Riki DC and then...
Oh, he DC'd again?
No. Oh. I was about to say, does Riki DC just so Ice can change his weapon? But like... I don't know.
Not sure.
Yeah, not sure either. But, in any event... So, have we come up with a solution for bubbles? I don't think we've come up with a solution for bubbles.
No, we haven't.
I think you've just gotta throw everything in the kitchen sink at them and hope. But, like, a well-placed bubble is just gonna be super annoying. And honestly, it probably requires a preemptive awareness of, hey, this person has bubbles. Whereas, you know, previously we've been talking about, hey, this team has armor. I feel like at this point, you should probably be, like, assuming that most of the time they have armor. Yeah, I feel like with the current playstyle, that's more natural. Yeah. Like, I
don't know. Like, when I said Booyah, I was more thinking of Rainmaker pushes because I just saw that Rainmaker push like through the bubbles, and it was so free.
Right.
And if there's a Booyah there, you can't do that. But the Booyah has to be very well timed, right? But I don't think you can prevent an insta-pop. I think that's just a mechanic.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I guess there's probably Stingray too, right? Where you can try to... If you're already running them, they're not going to be able to, like, pop the bubbles and continue moving forward.
But you need to be very good at Ray. Because Ray gets hit markers for all 3 bubbles, plus the player, so you,
that is
like,
true.
In order to track that, you need to be very aware of where he is.
But, like, I feel like, I mean, with a giant shiny Rainmaker...
I mean, you
if they're
can't
swimming,
really make
I guess.
out the...
Yeah.
You can barely make out the thing.
But I mean, at the same time, like, it's not like they're gonna try to get out of the bubbles. I mean, but that's more of a mental game and less of a, like...
Yeah,
it's less of a problem for the actual, where am I going with this?
I think what we were thinking is how to counter it. And that's a way to counter it.
Yeah.
Be it unreliable or not, because we're human.
Right.
Also, context for stream, we're now looking for a sub for Riki.
Oh, okay.
And I feel like we found one.
You feel like we found one. What are they gonna do? Put me on their team?
Because I'm looking at chat. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have the inside information. I think Leafy
I'm joking.
Is,
I'm trolling. I'm trolling.
I know you're trolling. I'm trolling you back.
I also have the insider information. I just didn't look at it.
Yeah, but I'm cooler.
But I'm
also
cooler. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Also, can I just say what PT he said in chat? We DDoS the bubble player. I agree. I feel like that might just be the solution.
That's just the best solution we can come up with. Is is DDoSing the bubbles player. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Now, please please note, the KBot stream does not condone DDoSing people. Please don't do that. Thank you. Okay. How to put that disclaimer in there? Alright. What now, Dura?
I was just gonna make the observation that with Leafy on the team, Bed does not have a bubble user.
Put Brian on VXplo.
Funny story. I'm not sure if I should be saying this, so exclusive information, guys. You can only find it here. I was DMing Brian the other day about Vanilla Expo and how he felt about it, and Brian said that he wanted to try out Vanilla Expo, which he hasn't that much, I don't think, yet. But hear me out. The way we've seen bubbles get played all this time was like, oh, this weapon can insta-pop bubbles. Let's do it. Let's get it.
Yeah.
It's good. Explo cannot, so it's bad. But we see, like, mostly in these Clan Blitz games, both of these teams are using the bubbles to stall and just stay alive for a push. And essentially, if you put a bubble in a choke point, you're denying that area to the enemy team. And I feel like bubbles on Expo would play very differently to bubbles on Squeezer. So when we think, oh, if this team still wants bubbles and they drop the Squeezer, just put Brian on the bubble Expo, I feel like that would achieve a very different purpose. Or that would be a very different purpose than the Squeezer would. So that's just a little food for thought for people watching. Like, the fact that some weapons might have the same special doesn't mean they play the same, I guess.
Right. Absolutely.
That can't be said for every special.
I mean, I think it's more unique to bubbles because there are kind of two modes, right? You talk about the popping section, you talk about the, the more stalling bit of it. But what we're seeing a lot more recently is more the stalling thing, right? We originally thought, oh yeah, bubble nuke explosion, that's cool. But with what we've been seeing today, it's a lot more about that stall game. It's a lot more about, again, the way I'm going to relate this, this is a free Tenta Brella shield. As a matter of fact, it's 3 free Tenta Brella shields that you could actually invest more health into as time progresses, right? And so if they're well played, you can kind of just sit here, stall things out for a long period of time, and that's exactly what the Tenta Brella is good with. So why would the bubbles be good with it as well? And that's exactly what we've been seeing so far. It looks like we're going to have to stop talking about bubbles when we start getting into this game. But the other thing I will comment on about Explo really quickly is Explo takes a lot to play around as a team, right? You talk about the Explo being able to put out so much ship damage over time, and that is, I think that's further amplified by the V-Explos kit because of the fact that now you're trying to pop those bubbles for your teammates. And the teammates have to be in position to utilize those bubbles as well, especially if we're talking about it in more of this stally kind of strategy. And so, I think an Explosion player like Brian, or the reason why, is because Brian is both mechanically gifted at the Explosion because he's been playing it for so long, and he's also been working with a handful of teammates that have played for a significant amount of time and have been able to kind of, learn how to play around that Explosion. So I think that's also something interesting. Also, the one problem with bubbles on the Explo is that Brian can't sit from behind all of the time now, right? Brian's going to have to go in, pop the bubbles, or, throw the bubbles out for the teammates to follow.
How much range they have.
No, they have a lot of range, but also, it does need to be a little bit more in a niche position, right? In positions where that Explo might not normally be sitting, right? Or at least I feel like it. So, or, the positions you would want to cover with the bubbles aren't going to be positions, per se, that the that like your frontliners are going to want to trap. Does that make sense?
It does. It definitely does.
Okay. So, anyway, I think that's enough about bubbles. I'm honestly probably going to make that a Twitch highlight, maybe even throw it up on YouTube, because I think that was a good discussion that more people should see.
It really was.